Okay, and on to Cambridge 14. Test 1, Passage 1, the importance of children's play. Right, so you open your paper, immediately go and look at what we've got. We've got some gapful, 8 of them, that's nice, and true, false, not given. So the most common format for Passage 1. Right, immediately we're going to start scanning. Please watch my scanning videos so that you know which keywords to choose. Of course, that is great. Anything else there? Develop, help. Not really, because these ones don't really stand out. These are very common, very general words. We're looking for nice nouns that can't be used in any other context. So definitely board games. A board game is a board game. It's a game that you play on a board. Turn taking, yes, it's quite unusual. You're not going to see that everywhere. Now, you can do one of two things here. This is quite nice already. You can immediately go back and start answering the questions if you want. Or you can continue to look. I like to continue to look. The problem here is there's nothing really stand out, like there's no names and there's no dates. So if you want to, you can go and start with these. It's really up to you. You must develop your own strategy. But I would like to just see where everything is first. Populations, I don't know. That maybe, I don't know. Opportunities for free play. Free play is quite unusual, so I think I'll highlight that. Fear, definitely, especially because they say it twice. Fear can be paraphrased. Schools, okay. These are not great keywords, really. These are not strong, but there's nothing else here. Maybe policies. Difficult. Difficult is kind of nice. They can paraphrase it, but it's negative, and it's nice to find a negative. So maybe difficult. Research, it's so common. Impact, so common. Rest of the child's. Everything is about child, so this is quite a difficult one. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. Let's go and start. Let's find Magical Kingdom, board games, and turn taking. So immediately, now you're scanning. You need to develop your scanning skills. You should practice scanning with your pen. Run it underneath the words. I think in future I will research a video about the physical things that you're doing with your fingers and with your eyes and with your pen while you're scanning. Anyway, Magical Kingdom we see immediately. What else are we looking for? Board games and turn taking. Scan, scan, scan. More, and there we see board game. Scan a little bit more. Turn taking, they paraphrased a little bit, but it's recognizable enough. So, like I say, if you want, dive in straight away, try and find these answers now. It's fine. It's actually often good because it can give you a bit of confidence and positivity. But let's continue, see where the other things are. Populations, maybe. Free play, fear schools. Populations, free play, fear schools. It's a good thing to maybe repeat it to yourself as you're scanning. Populations, free play, fear schools. Populations, free play, fear schools. We're not really looking for the paraphrases now. We're looking for the direct, stand-out keywords. Populations, free play, fear schools. And there I finally see free play. So populations is somewhere before that. Now I'm looking for fear or schools. I don't see fear, but I do see schools. Okay, again, if you're feeling confident, you can start answering them, but let's see if we can find any of these others. Please watch my scanning video. This is just the first scan. Difficult policies. I should point out, these are often very useful. They are very important words in these. But in this case, they don't have strong keywords. I mean, uses is not strong. That can be anywhere. Children's play, the whole thing is about children's play. So there's nothing to scan for here. Recent changes affecting, nothing really strong. But maybe international would be useful to scan for. So we're looking for international difficult policies. And immediately I see international over there. And I'm looking for difficult. There's policies. And that's probably enough for now. Difficult, international. There's policies again. So at the moment, it looks like we're stopping over there. But Don't be sure of that. A good thing that you can do at this point, which I always advise, it's just when do you do it? Do you do it now or later? Is see if there's anything in this first one, and that will tell you when the true false not given starts, and it also tells you therefore when the gap fill stops. So there's nothing really strong here, but maybe that is useful. So if we see that, then we know we've gone too far. So we're still looking for international. We want to know where this stops. Policies, difficult, maybe research, but we're also looking for good self-control. Don't waste too much time on this, but it can really help us. I don't see anything there. Scan for good self-control all the way, and I see self-control over there. So that tells me we're probably going to start with true, false, not given over here. This last one, this policies and difficult, I can't see difficult. Maybe a real challenge. But that's enough for now. Maybe there. We'll have to come back to that later. We found enough to actually start answering our questions. You must really practice your scanning skills so that you can do this step really quickly. It tells you where everything is, and maybe even more importantly, it gives you a lot of confidence. Right. Building a magical kingdom may help develop. Now, these are kind of the secondary scanning words. They're not so strong. They can easily be paraphrased, but we're going to try and find them nonetheless. And board games involve something and turn taking. So let's look for may help develop, or building. Building is quite useful. Building may help develop. Here's magical kingdom. Building may help develop. Creating. This although, remember the althoughs and the buts, they're very useful. This fantasy is helping. There's helping. Take her first steps. We're looking for help and develop. Capacity for creativity, and so it will have important repercussions in her adult life. Now, we haven't done the grammar yet. I know in the past I've done like all the grammar together just to show you about the grammar. Sometimes the grammar doesn't help. Please go and watch my grammar videos, grammar for reading, in the strategy playlist. But generally I advise you do the grammar one by one as you're doing the question. May help develop. What are we looking for? We're looking for a noun. It's probably not a singular noun. That means it's probably a plural countable noun or an uncountable noun. May help develop something. Where is develop? This fantasy, what is this fantasy? It's about building the magical kingdom. Is helping her, and actually this is develop. It's a very difficult paraphrase. Take her first steps towards. There's nothing over here. Have important repercussions. This means consequences. So this is not really develop. Take her first steps towards is develop. Capacity is ability. So where's the plural noun or the uncountable noun? And it's over there. In fact, this whole thing is a noun phrase, but we're only allowed one word. So definitely that must be your answer. This was difficult because this was the develop part. So your answer is there. I know a lot of students will choose that. May help her develop her life. But this part over here is nothing about develop. It's just saying it will have an impact, a consequence on her future life. So creativity is number one. Not easy. It was a choice between these two, but you had to recognize that this was develop. Please notice the although. It introduces important information. It's just that although is different from but. If we use but or however, it comes in over here before this. The although goes over there. Even though the although goes over there, this is still the important part of that sentence. The part that goes after the but, which would have gone in here if we didn't use although. So this is, again, the contrast marker, a good indication of important information. Right, creativity. Okay, next. Now with this one, I want to point out something very important. I haven't mentioned it too much. Maybe I'll make a video on it in the future. And that is, sometimes the structure of the question reflects the structure in the text. So, for example, what I mean by that, here we've got two nouns. This is going to be board games involve something and something. So very often that means in the text you will have noun and noun. It's not always. I wish I could say it was always. Sometimes it's A and B here, and then they just do B and A in the text, so they switch these around. But sometimes it's A, B, and C in the text, and then they only choose A and B in the question. So unfortunately, it's not always, but it's worth noticing. Structure in the question often helps with structure in the text. So let's find board games, turn taking, maybe noun and noun. Involve is such a general word, I'm not really going to look for that. There's board games. She's learning about the need to follow rules and take turns with a partner. Now this is slightly difficult. This is what they actually mean is that we just write it. This take turns with a partner is also using this need to. So there's a noun phrase, the need to, and the need to. So there's the two nouns, A and B. This and is exactly this and over here. So that's what I mean is the structure in the questions reflects the structure in the text. So what was before that and? What was that first noun over there? We only allowed one word. What is the most? There's our noun phrase, A and B. What is the most important word in that noun phrase? Must be rules. Great. Right, let's move on. Populations, we found free play, we didn't find fear, we found schools. So let's look before free play and see if we can find populations or maybe grown. Nothing really here. Populations and grown. So free play is over there. That means populations and grown could be anywhere over there. But it's most likely, I would just start scanning from there and scan backwards. Because it's quite possible that they've actually started in just this paragraph over here. Scan backwards. It's often a good tactic. So there's free play, and we're looking for populations and grown. Scan backwards. Can you see populations? They've paraphrased it. Can you see it? And there it is there. That's populations. So we know now they've just actually started with this paragraph, and they've actually skipped these two paragraphs. It's not a bad idea to scan quickly, look for populations over here. I don't see it though. Where is grown? This is now our target sentence. Grown is not there. What they're saying is half the people in the world now live in cities. So the grown is actually inside here. It means before less than half the people in the world lived in cities, but now over half the people in the world live in cities. Therefore, the population has grown. So, what are we looking for? Populations of something have grown. Let's do the grammar. It's going to be a noun again, as 90% of these are. It's not going to be singular. It's a plural noun, plural countable, or it's uncountable. Populations of what have grown? Let's look at our nouns. Populations of times. No, it's very rare that important information is in this introduction head of the sentence. Pointing out. Where's the nouns? Populations of cities have grown. It's the only really option in that sentence. Populations of cities have grown. I think if you found the paraphrase, you found the keyword here, then it became a little bit easier, especially because you know you're looking for a plural noun or an uncountable noun. Right, opportunities maybe for free play are limited. That's quite nice because it's negative, and it's always nice to look for the negative things because they aren't very common. Opportunities for free play are limited due to fear of increased. Once again, I want to point out the same point that I made over here. Structure in the questions often reflects structure in the text. This is 3 points. So we're looking for 1, 2, 3 points. Look for fear again. I didn't see it. Somewhere after free play, and then noun, all either uncountable or plurals. Let's see what we've got here. it's going to be 3 answers in here. So this is very good. You should concentrate quite a lot on this. It's quite rich in answers. Where's limited? Can you see limited? Opportunities for free play, which I experience almost every day, are becoming increasingly scarce. So that's limited, he says. Now, here are our 3 points. Look at the linking language. Linking language are always very useful. Not always, but often. As well as and. That's the linking language. So that gives you point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. So again, I just want to repeat this important point that I'm bringing up in this video is that the structure of the questions often reflects the structure in the text. And you can get clues from that structure. Here we knew we were looking for 3 things. Right. Fear of what, and increased something in schools. I would actually go for the increased first because we've got another keyword, increased. Can you see increased? Very easy. Greater. Greater what? Greater competition. Right, let's do these others. Fear of something and fear of something. Remember, fear is negative, so we can't find fear, but we're looking for negative things. In our first point, the answer's somewhere in here. Outdoor play is curtailed by perceptions of risk to do with traffic. Perceptions of risk, that's negative. That means fear. Fear of what? Fear of traffic. And another fear of something else negative. Increased wish to protect their children from being the victims of crime. So there's nothing really negative. They wish to protect their children from being victims. I guess that's negative. And protect their children from what? We only want one word over here. Protect their children from crime. We're looking for a noun, either countable or plural. So these really weren't so bad. If you found the keywords, the scanning was super important. The grammar didn't help us all that much in these. They're all the same. It's either plural nouns or uncountable nouns. So it helped us a little bit. But the main thing I want to point out about these questions is that the structure of these actually helped you a little bit if you knew what to look for and where to look. Great. Let's finish up with this. It is difficult to find something to support new policies. It is difficult to find something to support new policies. There's policies. I want difficult, something negative. Implications. Where's the negative thing? I'll give you a clue. There's one of our old friends, the word but. Just like the word although over here. Contrast marker introduces important information. But what they often lack, there's something negative. This is a negative word. Lack, don't have, difficult to find. That's over there. What is it difficult to find? Where's the negative? Countable plural noun or uncountable noun. Evidence. You could scan a little bit more, and I know that in these 2 questions IELTS have. I'm actually just going to put it on a new page so we can have it all together. In these 3 paragraphs, IELTS has done some nasty things. That could easily be, it is difficult to find. So that is a distractor over there. And that means many students will choose data. But it's almost correct. But that means data on the impact it has on the child's later life. This is not about policies and new policies. These 2 paragraphs are about the new policies. So don't fall for the distractors. So our answer is evidence because we needed to have that in there. You must match everything that you can up. You must match in the question and in the text. They often put these distractors in a different paragraph to make you confused. The way to overcome that distractor was to say there's nothing about new policies there. We're looking for new policies. Right. Research needs to study the impact of play on the rest of the child's. Impact maybe. Rest of the child's. Something. And maybe research. So I've put all these paragraphs together here. We're somewhere over here. There's self-control over there. So we're probably just in these 2 over here. Research There's research, but that's not a good place for a keyword. There's researchers. So that, again, it's a distractor. We want impact, rest of the child's. Impact is over there. Be careful, it might also be a distractor, but the rest of the child's later life. The rest of the child's life. So the child's was actually a very important keyword over there. A nice possessive. Child's later life. The rest of the child's life. So these two were actually quite difficult because they put some distractors in there. But I think it would have really helped you if you had gone and you had found this self-control so that you knew where to stop. Okay, so I'm going to do true, false, not given in the next video, but I just want to point out two things. The first, as I've mentioned, structure in the questions often reflects the structure in the text. Secondly, just look at where, this is a new point that I'm making, which is this point. It's something in English that we use called end focus. In English, very often we put the important information, the new information, at the end of a clause. We don't usually put it in the subject of a sentence. I don't want to talk too much about it now, I'm just introducing it. But let me just show you quickly where all of these answers were. I've highlighted the answers in blue. There's the clause, there's the end of the clause. There's the clause, there's the end of the clause, the answer is at the end of the clause. There's the clause, the answer is at the end of the clause. The same thing over there, answer at the end of the clause. Again over there, not really there, but actually, as I'll explain, we are allowed to put some other information like preposition phrases in at the end of the clause. Preposition phrase, end of the clause, end of the clause. So it doesn't always work, but it's just something useful for you to learn and to recognize that in English we often put important information at the end of the clause. It can help you with your writing. Here is the basic structure for a sentence, and very often this in the X is where we put the important information at the end of the clause. This is just preposition phrases, usually in 1999 or something like that. This is the heart of the sentence. So if you're writing, that's where you want to put your important information. And very often, if you're reading, that's where you look for your important information. I wish I could say it was always like that. In this example, all 8 of these were in that position in the sentence. All 8 of the answers. But it's not always. It's just a good thing to learn. Alright, next video, true, false, not given.